Hello, my friend, I want you to imagine this. A quiet night. You're drifting into sleep after a long day. Suddenly, your calf locks up. A cramp strikes out of nowhere, gripping the muscle so tightly it forces you out of bed, face contorted. In pain, stumbling to find a way to stretch it out. Have you ever experienced that? If you're over 50, chances are you have. And not just once. I remember one of my patients, Eleanor, 68 years old, a retired literature teacher, who told me during a checkup, "Doctor, I'm starting to fear going to bed, because every night I'm jolted awake by a sharp, twisting pain, like someone's wringing my muscles." After a thorough examination, it wasn't her bones. Painkillers weren't the problem either. The real culprit was a lack of potassium, a tiny mineral with a massive role in keeping our muscles stable and relaxed. You see, potassium isn't a word you often hear in health commercials, but to me, after more than 30 years of working with older adults, potassium is like the silent coordinator of every muscle function. When the body runs low on potassium, nerve signals misfire, muscles contract at the wrong time, and that's when cramps, trembling legs, or sudden weakness appear, especially in those taking diuretics or blood pressure medication, which is very common at this age. Potassium loss becomes even more likely. So, where do we restore potassium from? Not from expensive pills. I always tell my patients, start with a banana. Yes, bananas, oranges, sweet potatoes, avocados, coconut water. These are nature's gifts, rich in potassium and found in any local grocery store. Picture this, a light breakfast with roasted sweet potato slices, a ripe yellow banana, and a refreshing glass of coconut water. Not only delicious, but it also helps you walk with ease, sleep more soundly, and wake up without the fear of another midnight cramp. I know at this age we've grown used to accepting small pains as part of aging. But I'm here to tell you, many of these things are not just old age. They're your body quietly asking for proper care. If you've ever curled up in pain at night, if you felt anxious about standing too long because of shaky legs, don't ignore potassium, the small friend your body is desperately calling for. And if you're taking daily blood pressure or diuretic medications, ask your doctor, is your potassium being overlooked? Sometimes one small adjustment in your diet can bring a very big change to your life. You know, when I was younger, I used to believe strong muscles alone were enough to stand tall and go far. But after decades of working with people over 60, I've learned a deeper truth. It's not just the muscles that need nourishment. Your knees, hips, and ankles, these living hinges, grow old, wear down, and if neglected, they will quietly betray you at the most unexpected times. I once treated a patient, Walter, 73, a former Navy man, strong and resilient. Yet lately he began to avoid the stairs at the park. "Doctor," he said, "I don't trust my knees anymore. It feels like they don't belong to me." I hear that often. And many times the hidden cause lies in the lack of a nutrient most people overlook: collagen. Collagen, especially type 2, acts like the magic glue that holds cartilage together, keeping your joints smooth and flexible every time you walk, sit, or stand. When we're young, our bodies produce collagen in abundance, but after 50, everything slows down, the body becomes like an old factory, and collagen gradually runs dry. That's not just why you hear crackling in your knees, but also why a simple squat or sudden movement can trigger sharp pain, or worse, lead to a fall. Some people ask me, "Doctor, can I get my collagen back?" The answer is yes, but you need to help your body do it. Collagen can be supported through foods like bone broth, fish skin, or gelatin. But for many of my older patients, the most effective option has been hydrolyzed marine collagen or specialized type TER collagen made specifically for joints. And you know what? When Walter began taking collagen consistently for 3 months, alongside gentle morning walks, he came back with the brightest smile. "Doctor, I climbed all 37 steps up the hill today without anyone helping me." You see, there are things we think are gone forever, like the freedom to walk without fear, but they can in fact be reclaimed as long as you start taking care of them. Today, I've always believed growing older does not mean fading away. Aging is a journey you can continue with resilience if you choose to listen to your body and give it what it truly needs. There's one truth I've learned after decades of listening to the stories of older adults. The fear of losing balance doesn't begin with a fall. It begins with the smallest of moments, a stumble in the bathroom, a missed step on the front porch, or simply the quiet feeling that you're not as steady as before. I still remember one winter afternoon. Clara, 74 years old, slender, with bright eyes, walked into my office looking a little tense. "Doctor, I don't dare walk out into the yard anymore. Every time I stand up from the sofa, I feel like I'm about to fall." We ran a series of tests, and among all the numbers, one result stood out at the very bottom: vitamin D. Are you surprised? Because most of us still think vitamin D is only for bones, but I told Clara, and now I'm telling you, vitamin D isn't just a nutrient for bones, it's the power switch for your muscles. The silent light that helps you stand tall and walk with confidence. Think about it. When your muscles don't get that switch turned on, they react slowly, grow weaker, and can't keep you balanced the way they used to. That's why people low in vitamin D often feel shaky legs, poor reflexes, or as if their legs no longer take orders from the brain. Older adults, especially after 60, tend to spend less time in the sun, or their skin no longer makes vitamin D as efficiently. And that quietly leads to a chain of problems, from slow recovery after a fall to osteoporosis, weak muscles, and loss of independence in movement. I've witnessed many remarkable cases where, after just a few weeks of the right vitamin D supplementation, patients were able to stand up more easily, walk without trembling, and most importantly, regain confidence with every step they took. Foods like salmon, eggs, and fortified milk contain vitamin D, but the truth is, most of us don't eat enough. That's why I often advise older adults to get a blood test and supplement between 800 to 2000 IU per day, depending on their condition. Have you ever felt like your legs are no longer truly yours? Have you ever grabbed a handrail, not because you needed it, but because you were afraid? If so, your body might be whispering, "I need a little light from within." Vitamin D isn't magic, but it is part of the miracle your body deserves, so you can walk steadier, not just across the floor, but through the very journey of life. Now, I want you to picture this. You're walking down the familiar hallway of your home. Not fast, not rushed, just a few gentle steps. And then, suddenly you feel like you've lost control of your legs. A slight slip, a brief disorientation, a faint tingling in the soles of your feet. You stop, you sit down, you think, "Am I just tired?" But deep down, you know something isn't right. I've heard this story so many times, and one of the most common causes, a lack of vitamin B12. Vitamin B12, for me, isn't just another supplement on a prescription slip. It's the silent current that runs from your brain to your feet. When you have enough B12, signals from your brain travel quickly, clearly and precisely to every muscle fiber and every tiny joint. You keep your balance, walk firmly, and react in time when something feels off underfoot. But when B12 is lacking, as it so often is in people over 60, everything becomes blurry. I feel like my legs are no longer part of my body. One of my patients once told me she hadn't had a stroke, she hadn't been injured. She was simply deficient in B12. and when we corrected it with the right dosage, within weeks, she was back to walking steadily again, with her smile restored to her face. The problem is this: as we age, our stomachs produce less acid, making it harder to absorb B12 from food, especially if you're taking antacids, metformin, or common diabetes medications. Even if you eat beef, eggs, or drink milk regularly, you could still be facing a serious deficiency without even knowing it. If you often feel caca, a tingling or pins and needles sensation in your feet, a loss of direction or balance, fatigue even after just a light walk, or as if there's a strange cushion under your feet when you step, then pause for a moment. Ask your doctor to check your B12 levels. One simple blood test, one small lozenge under the tongue each day. And sometimes that small step can give you back your independence. I often tell my patients this: balance isn't just about strong muscles. It's the art of keeping the connection between the mind and the body. And vitamin B12 is that delicate connecting wire. You deserve to walk with confidence, not with fear every time you stand up. Let your body send strong signals again, from your brain down to your feet. And perhaps with just a little B12, you'll feel that connection return like it never left. I don't know about you, but I've had countless older patients share nearly identical stories with me, different voices, same pain. One woman, Grace, 76 years old, once told me, "Doctor, I'm not afraid of the daytime anymore. It's the night I fear, because when night comes, the pain wakes me up. Every night is a battle with my legs. Have you ever felt that? Falling into a deep sleep, only to be jolted awake by a bolt of pain shooting through your calf, like an electric shock. You try to stretch, you grit your teeth, you endure. And then you lie awake for the rest of the night, robbed of rest by a single cramp. I understand that. And I know the cause. So many times, I've found the answer in a mineral that seems so simple. Magnesium. Magnesium is a special mineral. Not flashy, not famous like calcium or iron, but did you know it is the gatekeeper of your nervous system and your muscles? If you've ever had nighttime cramps, restless legs, or even the feeling of muscles tightening for no reason, there's a good chance you're low in magnesium. Magnesium helps muscles relax. It helps nerve signals travel more smoothly, more steadily, and most importantly, it helps you sleep peacefully, without fear of the night. I often explain it this way to my patients. If your muscles are like doors constantly opening and closing, then magnesium is the quiet hinge that keeps everything moving smoothly. Lose magnesium, the hinge breaks, and the doors begin to creak and scream. But why are so many older adults deficient in magnesium? The answer is surprising. Stress, heart medications, blood pressure drugs, alcohol, caffeine, and simply aging. All of these quietly drain magnesium from your body, bit by bit, silently, without warning. If you're taking diuretics, or if you've been feeling increasingly tired, unable to sleep, or experiencing those small nighttime spasms, ask yourself, am I really getting enough magnesium? Where do you find it? Right in your kitchen. Leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, almonds, oats, black beans, even a little quality dark chocolate. And for many patients, I still prescribe an additional 200-400 millimoles of magnesium per day in supplement form, always after careful testing and monitoring. You know what I cherish most is when a patient comes back and says, I finally had a full night's sleep without being jolted awake by pain. It's not that I cured them, it's that they regained their peace, something age should never take away. Magnesium is not just a mineral, it's a small gift that helps you sleep better, worry less, and wake up in the morning with legs that feel lighter than yesterday. Have you ever wondered? You've been taking calcium every day, eating well, even exercising gently, yet your joints still ache. Your bones still feel weak. One of my longtime patients, Richard, 71, once asked me that exact question. "Doctor, I did everything right, but my knees still crackle. My back still hurts if I stand too long. Am I doing something wrong?" I smiled and told him, "You're not doing anything wrong, Richard. It's just that you've forgotten a guide along the way. That guide is vitamin K. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't get flashy ads. But in the silent world of bones and joints, it is the quiet traffic officer making sure calcium goes to the right place and doesn't get lost. Did you know? When your body lacks vitamin K, calcium, rather than going into your bones, can end up depositing in your arteries, making them stiff or building up in your joints, leaving you in pain with every movement. We often think the more calcium the better. But without a guide, calcium can actually turn into a troublemaker. So what does vitamin K do? It's the messenger that delivers calcium exactly where it belongs, into your bones and teeth, while keeping it away from your heart, blood vessels and joints. There are two types of vitamin K, K1, found in green vegetables like kale, spinach and broccoli. K2, the smarter one, found in fermented foods like natto, a Japanese dish, eggs, liver and hard cheeses. K2 is the type I most often recommend for my older patients because it's especially effective in boosting bone density and preventing arterial calcification, something very common after 60. I still remember the look of surprise on Richard's face after 4 months of consistently taking vitamin K2, combined with calcium and vitamin D. "Doctor, I no longer feel like my bones are made of porcelain. They're stronger. And strangely, my joints don't snap and crack every morning anymore. Have you ever heard that crunching sound in your knees while climbing stairs? Have you ever felt stiffness in your hips, back, or that rigid sensation when you first wake up? If so, don't be too quick to blame aging. It may be that calcium has lost its way and you simply need a guide called vitamin K. I believe this deeply. Growing older is not about enduring suffering. It's a stage of life where you can understand your body better and give it the right support at the right time. Vitamin K is not a miracle, but sometimes it's the quiet things that make the most profound difference. Have you ever walked just a few minutes and then felt as exhausted as if you'd climbed a hill, or after light housework, needed to rest the entire afternoon? Or maybe you felt foggy, unfocused, unable to concentrate? I used to think that was just normal aging, but after many years of observing and listening, I realized it's not that we lack rest, it's that the body no longer metabolizes energy the way it once did. And one of the key nutrients that helps the wheel of energy turn smoothly again is vitamin B6. I want you to imagine this. Your body is like a car that has driven hundreds of thousands of miles. The tires are still fine, the engine is still there, but the fuel no longer burns efficiently. Vitamin B6 is the little spark that ignites that fuel, helping you feel stronger, recover faster after activity, and even think with more clarity. I remember one particular patient, Maria, 69 years old. A strong woman, always trying to keep herself busy. But recently she often felt as if her body was only running on half a tank. "I'm not tired, but I have no strength," she told me. We ran blood tests, and just as I suspected, her B6 levels were very low. After 2 months of steady supplementation, combined with B6-rich foods like salmon, bananas, potatoes, chickpeas, and a suitable multivitamin, Maria returned with completely renewed energy. "Doctor, I cleaned the entire garden without having to sit down once. And the strangest thing is, my mind feels clearer. I even started reading books again." You see, vitamin B6 isn't just a nutrient for muscles. It's a key to full restoration, from body to mind. With enough B6, your muscles don't tire as easily. Your mind becomes sharper, and you begin to feel, yes, I can still live fully, proactively, without dependence. I often tell my patients this: Let each step you take be more than a movement. Let it be proof that you are still in charge of your vitality. Vitamin B6 won't make you younger, but it can help you feel like you're not old yet. I once asked an older patient, "What makes you feel the oldest?" And without hesitation, he answered, "When I started fearing not the cold." You know, that answer made me reflect deeply. Not because older people are weaker, but because circulation slows down, joints ache more, hands and feet grow colder, and every seasonal change feels like a reminder that the body isn't what it used to be. But that doesn't mean we give. And on that journey of recovery, I always mention a familiar friend, omega-3 pot. Omega-3 is not a painkiller, but it is one of nature's greatest anti-inflammatories. It soothes aching joints when the weather changes. It helps blood flow better to your hands and feet, warming toes that once froze at night. And most importantly, it nourishes blood, vessels, the heart and the brain, as if lubricating the circulatory system that grows weary with age. I once treated Jim, 75 years old, a former chef. His hands were once so skilled, but recently they would tremble whenever he tried to cut food. "Doctor, my hands don't feel like my hands anymore. They don't listen." We ran the tests. It wasn't Parkinson's, it wasn't calcium deficiency. It was poor circulation and low-grade inflammation in his joints. I prescribed omega-3 from deep-sea fish oil, combined with light daily exercise and warm morning massages. After a few months, he returned with a deeply emotional smile. "Doctor, I can slice tomatoes thin again, without crushing them." Omega-3 can be found in familiar foods: salmon, mackerel, sardines, flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts. But the truth is, most older adults don't eat enough because of taste, fear of cholesterol, or digestive issues. That's why I often advise, if you can't eat fish 2 to 3 times a week, choose a high-quality omega-3 supplement sourced from clean oceans. You see, nothing can make us young again, but many things can keep us from aging too quickly. Omega-3 is one of those things, a silent current that keeps your body flexible, warm and sharp. Aging itself is not as frightening as not understanding what your body needs. And sometimes just a little omega-3 each day is enough to bring warmth back into cold hands and vitality back into slow steps. I remember during a community consultation, a man in his 70s came up to me and said, "Doctor, I don't expect to run like I did in my youth. I just wish my knees wouldn't crack every morning." I immediately understood that feeling, the sense that aging is not about weakness, but about everything becoming stiff. And if you too have felt that your knees are no longer flexible, that sitting down is easy, but standing back up requires holding on, or that even turning in bed comes with a crack, then I want you to know about a silent but vital friend: collagen. Collagen isn't just for skin. In fact, over 30% of the protein in your body is collagen, and most of it is found in your joints, cartilage, tendons, and ligaments. You can think of collagen as the elastic gel between joints, keeping every movement smooth, soft, and painless. But then age comes. Collagen begins to naturally decline after 30 and rapidly after 50. Cartilage wears down, joints dry, out. That stubborn, stiff feeling creeps into every motion. One of my longtime patients, Eleanor, 74, who once loved gardening, could no longer squat because her knees hurt too much. We began hydrolyzed marine collagen peptides, along with gentle morning stretches. 6 months later, she returned, hands full of tulips to give me. "Doctor, I planted these myself again. This spring, my knees are blooming." You see, collagen doesn't make you 20 again, but it can give you something more precious than youth: the flexibility to do the things you love, independently without needing help. You can find collagen in bone broth, gelatin, or high-quality supplements, especially type 2 collagen, made specifically for cartilage and joints. And I always say, Think of collagen as a long-term investment, not to heal overnight, but to keep you standing strong for the journey ahead. Aging is not frightening. What is frightening is letting small pains steal big joys. If you can do something today to make tomorrow less uncomfortable, less dependent, and lighter in every step, then collagen is a worthy choice. My friend, we've just walked through a long journey together. Not just through names like vitamin D, B12, magnesium, or collagen, but through an awakening and understanding that your body is still here, still waiting for you to listen. Still capable of healing, bit by bit, as long as you give it the care it needs. Maybe you've grown used to living with small pains, nameless fatigue, or the sense that you're no longer who you used to be. But I want you to know, you are not powerless. And age is not a sentence. I have worked with hundreds, even thousands of patients over 60. I've seen them, at first trembling, their optimism dimmed. And then, with just a few small changes, a vitamin each morning, a glass of coconut water a day, a little sunlight, a new belief. They began walking again, standing up without support. And the greatest change? They believed in themselves again. If you're watching this video, I want to tell you, you are already on the right path. And if today you begin to care for yourself, with knowledge, with love, with patience, then the years ahead are still worth living fully. Don't let anyone, not even yourself, say, "I'm old, so I just have to accept it." Instead, replace it with, "I'm old, so I must live more carefully, more deeply, and more intentionally." I'm Dr. Thomas, and I believe this. It doesn't matter how old you are. What matters is how you choose to live. From this day forward. If this video has helped you, please leave me a message. I read every single one, and I'll be here to keep sharing, keep walking alongside you, with you and with the millions of others rediscovering the quiet strength within their own bodies. Thank you for watching. I wish you a peaceful day, an empowered old age, and steady steps, not only on your feet but throughout your life. See you in the next video.